New York, London, Paris. We think of terrorism as a problem for the headlines, for other countries. But the truth is, the front lines of a global war on humanity are far from the cameras, and the cost is paid in lives, stability, and the future of entire regions. What if I told you that the silence from the world powers isn't just ignorance, but a fundamental misunderstanding of the true enemy? Stay tuned, because later in this video, we will unveil the critical underfunded link between climate change, food security, and the terror groups that prey on the vulnerable, a secret to stability the world has yet to embrace. Welcome to the channel. Let's talk about a crisis the world can no longer afford to ignore. Our focus begins in West Africa, specifically the Lake Chad Basin, encompassing Nigeria, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon. Here, groups like Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab have turned one of Africa's most densely populated regions into a humanitarian crisis. The conflict is not just a fight over territory, it's an assault on a peaceful way of life, fueled by instability and poverty. The numbers are staggering. Thousands of innocent people have been killed. Millions are internally displaced, their homes and livelihoods reduced to dust. This terror doesn't discriminate. It targets markets, schools, places of worship, and farming communities. The result? A deadly cycle where fear prevents people from planting crops, leading to mass food insecurity, a vulnerability that the terrorist groups then exploit for recruitment. Now, let's look to the Horn of Africa, to Somalia. For years, the Al-Shabaab group has posed a continuous, lethal threat. What makes this crisis a global concern? It's the perfect storm of violence intersecting with climate catastrophe. Somalia is relentlessly hit by droughts and floods. When the government is busy battling a terrorist insurgency, who is left to help the farmers and the displaced? The terrorists step into that vacuum. They offer protection or basic services where the state cannot. This isn't just about security, it's about addressing fundamental needs. When families lose their farms to drought, and the only path to survival is through an extremist group, the world has failed them. The misconception that this is purely an African problem is not just wrong, it's dangerous. Terrorist organizations are global networks. They operate like transnational organized crime. They finance themselves through kidnapping, illicit trade, and shadowy international networks. Every time they destabilize a region, they create a safe haven for cross-border crime that impacts us all. Powerful nations are certainly involved, through counter-terrorism training, diplomacy, and aid. Regional blocs like the African Union and ECOWAS are making commendable efforts, but the problem is fragmentation. There are too many separate initiatives, too little coordinated intelligence sharing, and not enough predictable long-term funding. The response is a patchwork, but the threat is a unified, evolving force. Before we unveil the essential yet largely ignored secret to fighting terror, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe. Your support helps us bring these critical underreported stories to the global stage. Now, let's expose the missing piece of the counter-terrorism puzzle. The secret to ending terror isn't just military force. The real vulnerability, the true source of terrorist strength, is the collapse of the social contract. The world has been fighting the symptoms, but ignoring the root cause: poverty, lack of governance, and resource scarcity exacerbated by climate change. Research shows that terrorist groups thrive where the state is weakest. In places like Somalia, where drought and instability intertwine, Al-Shabaab exploits lack of food and water to gain control. In Nigeria, the scarcity of arable land drives conflict and displacement, creating a ready pool of desperate, marginalized individuals for recruitment. The role of the wealthy nations, and even the wealthy Gulf states, whose investments and development aid could be transformative, must shift from simply providing reactive aid to investing in resilience. We need long-term funding for food security, climate adaptation, and local governance. This is not charity, it is the most effective form of counter-terrorism. What can Africa, and in the specific case of Nigeria's affected communities, do to stop this? The answer is not just external. It is about internal resilience and coordination. Firstly, regional bodies like ECOWAS must move from fragmentation to a truly unified, coherent, and consensus-based response, as the UN has urged. This means seamless intelligence sharing and predictable funding for African-led peace operations. Secondly, for local communities, like the Christians and all vulnerable groups in Nigeria, the focus must be on strengthening social cohesion and self-defense initiatives that operate legally and in coordination with security forces. But most critically, It means building community and economic projects that ensure local youth see a future in their own towns, not in the ranks of an extremist group. This global threat can only be solved with a global commitment to development, not just defense. Terrorism is not a natural disaster. It is a political and humanitarian failure that can be fixed by prioritizing people and stability over short-term interests. We've seen the horror in Nigeria, the tragedy in Somalia. We've unveiled the secret that the true fight is against the poverty, climate vulnerability, and fractured systems that enable these groups. The world must stand together. Powerful leaders must fulfill their promise to fund humanitarian plans and invest in the long-term stability of the most at-risk nations. Arab states and global economic powers must see development in Africa as a pillar of global security. If you believe every life is worth defending, that every child deserves a future free from terror, then I urge you to do two things. First, share this video to break the silence. Second, support a vetted humanitarian organization focused on long-term resilience and development in West or East Africa. The time for indifference is over. The time for a global solution is now.